Mate Kriza sunumunu yapmak üzere burada. Kendisinin ekonomi ve uluslararası ilişkiler diploması bulunmakta. Kurumsal sürdürülebilirlik ve döngüsel ekonomi alanlarında 15 yılı aşkın deneyimi var. Cradle to Cradle kitabını yazan kişi, o yüzden oldukça kıymetli bilgiler vereceğini tahmin ediyoruz. 2005 yılında Macaristan Sürdürülebilir Kalkınma İş Konseyi'nin lansmanını başlatmış. Aynı zamanda Cradle to Cradle sertifikası değerlendirme şirketi olan EPEA, İsviçre, Macaristan'ın da temsilcisi. Hoş geldiniz. Thank you for your coming.
Teşekkür ederim. Good afternoon. I think it's quite a challenging job mine because I'm the last one in this session and we are already late, more than half an hour or a quarter of an hour. So I don't want to abuse your patience and I try to be as fast as possible. Good? Okay. So thank you once again for the invitation. I will talk about this case of Hungary in my first part of my presentation in terms of circular economy. I will bring some examples of best practices, and in the end I will talk about briefly about the cradle-to-cradle design. So, I'm representing Circular Point, which is a part of Leonardo. Leonardo is a Budapest-based innovation and technology company active in energy, environment, and sustainable development fields. And Leonardo provides research, innovation, and consultancy services and cutting-edge solutions in the renewable energy, resource efficiency, climate change, and natural resources sectors. They are quite active, the company, in Horizon 2020 or Horizon Europe projects, and we set up 2 years ago Circular Point, which is a circular economy service hub of Leonardo, and I'm the director of Circular Point. Okay, so let's first talk about how to measure circularity, because it was already mentioned there are many indicators how to measure circularity at macro level. I will bring some other perspective as well. Maybe you have heard about circularity gap, which is a report by the Circle Economy, which is a Dutch think tank in Amsterdam. They did the first circularity gap report in 2018, if I remember well. And these numbers you see here, globally at the moment, and this year I'm talking about, the global circular economy is only 8.6%. But be careful, it doesn't mean that we have to be 100% circular. It means only that all the materials which are circulating in the world economy, 8 out of these all materials, fossil fuels, ores, wood, biomass, you name it, about 88.6% is circulated or recycled, basically. This report has been adapted to Austria, Quebec, and recently to Sweden. So you can see that, for example, Austria, the circularity matrix is 9.7%, but for Quebec and for Sweden, it's only 3.5 or 3.4% respectively, which means that they use a lot of raw materials. If you think about it, Sweden, you know, they have ores, they have wood, similar to Quebec. So you have to be careful with this number, but it's interesting to know that it exists and you can check globally, and maybe other reports will come up for other countries as well. This graph shows the material flow for Quebec, and you can see the different lines coming from the left to the right, so how the inputs are and how they enter the economy, become products, and how they leave the economy, and how much comes back as recycled material. So this is a material flow for Quebec, but it applies for the global economy as well. Another indicator or other method, I would say, how to measure circularity is the Bellagio principles. And maybe you know about this because it comes from Italy, since it was 2020 when this process has started. It's a monitoring process in Europe, circular economy, which is an initiative taken by the Italian Institute for Environmental Protection and Research, ISPRA, and the European Environment Agency, which aims to consolidate key principles and areas for future work to improve the monitoring of circular economy. So you can see that there are 7 steps from monitoring, defining indicator groups, follow indicator selection criteria, exploit wide range of data, information sources, ensure multi-level monitoring, allow for measuring progress towards targets, and ensure visibility and clarity. So this Bellagio principle is one way to measure circularity of a certain economy. So it's good to know about it. At the moment, there are many statistical information you can find from Eurostat, which are relating to circular economy, production and consumption, waste management, secondary raw materials, competitiveness and innovation, waste generation and decoupling, diversion of waste from landfill, waste recycling, and also the material footprints, consumption footprints, and circular material use rate. And I will talk about it when I will come to Hungary. I also want to mention what are the key enabling factors, which are not statistical data, but I think they are crucial to understand how circular economy is implemented in a certain economy. One is technology and innovation, including design, reuse, use of resources, enabling recycling, and so on, regulations and policies, and this has been covered many times during the previous presentations, financial incentives. So you need the carrot and the stick to make circular economy. If there is no carrot, I mean money, then it's difficult to achieve circular economy. And very crucial business models, I will talk about it. Consumer awareness. If the consumers are not interested in circular economy, they don't understand what it's all about, they are not incentivized, it will not work. This is my experience in Hungary, and I think this applies to many countries in this region as well. And the governance. Who is the leader? Is it the government or is it business? There are different models for governance. And what are the barriers and challenges? I would name 4 barriers and challenges, just very briefly. Legal and regulatory barriers, economic and financial, technological and capacity-based, and lastly, cultural and behavior barriers to establish a circular economy. Now, I would talk about Hungary's position. Okay, so Hungary is based in Central Europe. We are landlocked. We are poor in mineral resources. We are importing gas, oil, which is now an issue, by the way, if you follow the news. We have some brown coal, lignite, but it's minimal. So basically we are very poor in mineral resources. However, we are very rich in thermal water and geothermal energy. If you come to Budapest, you should definitely try the Turkish bath, which are not as like your Turkish baths, but it's great. And also, we have also some geothermal energy plant, and this photo shows one geothermal energy plant in Hungary, but it's still very small, the amount. It's not like Iceland. Okay, so some figures. Regarding municipal waste generated in the EU, Hungary is doing relatively well. As you can see, the red column on the right, Hungary creates, it's 2020, 340 kilograms per person municipal waste. So compared to Denmark, Luxembourg, which are making a lot of municipal waste, Hungary is doing relatively well in the municipal waste generated. But regarding material footprint, which is RMC, raw material consumption includes the raw materials that are embodied in traded products. You see that for Hungary, at the moment it's 16.6 tons per capita, but it has increased from 2010 to 2019, which is not a good sign, by the way. So we are relatively well positioned in the middle, but the tendency is not positive for this statistics. Regarding the material reuse use, DMC, and DMC, by the way, is the domestic material consumption, which measures the total amount of materials directly used by an economy, and is defined as the annual quantity of raw materials extracted from the domestic territory plus all physical imports minus all physical exports. So regarding this DMC, Hungary is in the middle at the moment with 13,600 tons per capita in the EU. Municipal waste landfill rates in Europe. In this respect, Hungary is relatively well, but still it's quite low in terms of, quite high, with 48%, the municipal landfill rate at the moment in 2019. And if we check the different waste sources, packaging waste, paper, cardboard, plastic, and so on. We are not doing very well. Actually, we are doing quite bad in terms of plastic and glass, and you can see this compared to the EU waste recycling targets, which are on the left, the blue dots on the left. So the right one shows the actual situation of Hungary. So we are lagging behind for plastic and glass, and also for municipal waste. And also an important figure which I think you have to measure when you are talking about circular economy is the resource productivity. It means resource productivity is defined as the gross domestic product, GDP, divided by the domestic material consumption. So how productive is your economy in terms of using materials. At the moment, Hungary is quite in the back, next to Turkey, by the way. Hungary's resource productivity is 0.88 euros per kilogram, so it means we produce 0.88 euros from 1 kilogram of materials. So compared to Switzerland and other Netherlands, which are in the top, we are very much in behind. And for the circular material use, how much circular materials we are using, the 7.3% is below the EU average as well. You can see Netherlands, Belgium, France are on the top. So we still have a lot of room for improvement in this respect. And last figure, the EU Eco-Innovation Index, because innovation is crucial for circular economy. And this EU on this chart, Hungary, as you can see, quite in the bottom with 69 points, lagging behind with very much compared to Luxembourg, Finland, and so on. So there is quite low innovation activity in Hungary, and this is a problem. And lastly, I would mention the cultural and behavioral barriers, which is not a statistics. Photo on the left one, you can see it's every year, once in a year, you can see these kind of scenes on the streets of Budapest and other cities when bulky waste collection takes place. It means that people are putting all their unused belongings, furnitures, clothes on the street, and that is for 1 or 2 or 3 days, and then they come and collect them, and where do they take this bulky waste? Into the incinerator, so they burn it. So I think that's a bad example for circular economy. However, the selective process, as you can see on the other photo, is improving. So in many towns now we have selective waste collection. So in summary, we have high dependence on imported natural resources, low waste generation and medium but improving landfill rates, relatively good recycling rates except glass and plastic, low or below the average resource productivity and circular material use, insufficient eco-innovation activity, and slowly improving cultural and behavioral trends. And what are the opportunities for Hungary in the circular economy? Some points: lowering its resource and energy imports dependence, decoupling economic growth from resource use, higher added values through various circular activities like remanufacturing, repurposing, and so on, increasing resource productivity and the competitiveness of the Hungarian economy, lower environmental emissions, protection of biodiversity, and lastly but not unimportantly, improving the health and well-being of the Hungarian population. So let's see now what the government has done recently to improve this situation in terms of legislative and policy initiatives. So what are the challenges for the Hungarian government or the Hungarian state? Reduction of the municipal waste to landfill, it was already mentioned, separate collection and recycling of plastic and glass waste, reduction of carbon emissions related to waste management, development of waste management infrastructure, recycling of the currently mixed collection of municipal waste, and transition to the circular economy model. Last year, Prime Minister Orbán said that by 2030, the Hungarian economy will be circular and digital. And wow, it is really rang my ears, because I never heard circular economy pronounced by the Prime Minister, but it was something important. Since then, I haven't heard him mentioning circular economy, but I try to be optimistic. There's a new government, all the new government is coming in Hungary, so I hope there will be more follow-up of this. What are the main push for the Hungarian economy or the Hungarian government? First, I think it's quite important, the EU Circular Economy Action Plan, as we are the member of the European Union, legal requirements, and of course the financial implications, which is the carrot, the money which is coming from Brussels. What are the objectives of the Hungarian government in terms of circular economy? Full climate neutrality by 2050, reaching an EU waste-related targets. It was already mentioned, setting up a separate waste collection system and fulfilling all legal requirements and using available funds. It's very important that all available funds should be used by the Hungarian government, which are related to circular economy. Recently, there have been several. Am I on? Yeah, okay, sorry. So, recently there have been several acts or strategies adopted by the Hungarian government which should support circular economy. And I named them the Hungarian Climate Act, the National Battery Strategy. In Hungary there are several foreign companies producing batteries, including Samsung and the others. The National Hydrogen Strategy, Climate and Nature Conservation Action Plan, National Clean Development Strategy, and the National Waste Management Plan, which covers 2021 and 2027. And there are some concrete measures recently, banning of single-use plastics from last year, introduction of glass, PET bottle, and aluminum can deposit system from 2024. There will be a concession system for waste management, so it will be one company, probably MOL, the Hungarian oil company, which is a bit ironic, but that's it, who will do this from next year. The waste management system, separate waste collection system for textiles from 2025, and from 2023 December bio-waste. And also there will be a separate collection for household toxic waste from January 2025. In my opinion, there are some shortcomings and also some drivers regarding circular economy in Hungary. One is the lack of knowledge and incentives for circular business models. I will talk about it later. Missing or changing consumer mindset and habits. I mentioned about it. Low spurring of innovation, because I think that still there is not enough incentives going into company innovation and design innovation. Too much focus on waste management. I mean, circular economy is still waste management issue, as I see from the government point of view. Less on value retention and resource productivity, and it's very centralized, which I think circular economy should be more localized. So if you want to do everything from centrally, it won't work. Of course, you need regulations, but you need local initiatives. And what are the drivers? Growing raw material prices, this is happening worldwide. Disruption in the global value chains, this is also well known. Financial support, mainly from the EU, and for skills, business development, innovation. International companies are really promoting circular economy in Hungary, and also it was mentioned in Turkey as well by the BCSD Turkey. And also changing consumer habits, especially younger people, which are using circular solutions. So what are the initiatives and circular best practices? Like in Turkey, the Hungarian Business Council for Sustainable Development, where I actually used to work, has launched a business circular economy platform in 2018 to foster mindset change and promote circular business practices. And they did a survey in 2019 between companies and organizations, and the result was that for most of the company, 26%, still the selective waste collection meant circular economy. So still mindset has to be changed at company level, not only consumer level. And green procurement was also mentioned, and also the shaping of the attitude as most important circular economy activities. So still work to be done in Hungary. There is a plan to set up a circular economy center of competence in Nagykanizsa, which is about 200 kilometers southwest of Budapest. This would be a science and innovation park. It's about technological improvement, and it covers the Pannon University, a local university, MOL, which is the Hungarian oil company, and local businesses. And this is co-funded by the government and the EU. And they want to launch it in 3 years' time, so we'll see what comes out of it, but it's a plan at the moment. This year, in March, was launched the Circular Economy Technology Platform by the Ministry of Innovation, and this platform main aim is to accelerate Hungary's transition to the circular economy, and being Hungary as one of the pioneers of circular technologies. So it's very ambitious. So it should spur GDP growth, contribute to global competitiveness of Hungarian businesses, and also to have a positive ecological impact. We were also, as Circular Point, invited to participate in this platform, and there are 7 main themes within this platform. So it's circular construction, industrial, another non-municipal waste management, rare earth materials and raw materials. I will take part in this group. Digitalization, circular water management, circular bioeconomy and food production, and circular forestry and relating industry. So this will be the main themes, but the platform is to be launched in a couple of weeks' time, so results to become later. I have to also mention, but it was also mentioned yesterday by the Czech colleague, the OECD report, the technical support for the development of the national circular economy strategies, NCEs, and action plan. So Hungary is also covered, and 3 main areas were highlighted by this report: construction, plastics, biomass, and food. So they want to provide a policy gap analysis and suggesting good practices, horizontal tools for implementation, and formulation of policy recommendation for national short-term and long-term priorities. And I would also mention a concrete example. There are at the moment 7 reuse and attitude formation centers in Hungary. It sounds strange, but it means that these are centers where people actually can take back their unused furniture, unused home items, which are repaired, remanufactured, and resold for a much lower prices than they were newer. And also there are a lot of activities taking place for school children, for NGOs, in these centers, and they are quite popular. However, still relatively less known among the population, these reuse and attitude formation centers. So these were the activities by the government which I thought are important to highlight. And now I would like to talk about concrete company examples. And first, I would also mention, but it was also recovered previously, the business models. And this one shows the Accenture business models, and they have highlighted 5 main business models: the circular supply chain, recovery and recycling, product life extension, sharing platform, product as a service. And from this I will bring some examples from Hungary. One is the resource recovery, which is cooking oil. So Biofilter is a Hungarian company, and they collect in what? 3 minutes. Okay, so Biofilter is collecting cooking oil. The one I have to speed up. Resource recovery. This is about unsold, fresh, edible, and untouched food from restaurants can be bought at least 40% less price than from the original. Organica is another example. It was to create a much smaller footprint garden-like water treatment facility that is seamlessly integrated technologically, architecturally, and psychologically into residential and commercial environment. So they are converting sewage treatment into a garden, and it's a good example for circular input. Upcycling, it's a good example for used jeans to make home textiles, and they're collecting used jeans and they are doing different home items, and they have been in the market for about 10 years. Product life extension. Sharing platform, it's called Palanta. Palanta is online sustainable fashion rental solution for eco-conscious women, and they can rent out by subscription different items and local brands. Product life extension is an example for laptops to give computers a second chance by refurbishing them, and the goal is to extend the lifespan of products once they have been manufactured. And of course, there are many examples for repairing. And when I was a kid, that's an example, even umbrellas could be repaired, but this is closed now, so it's not a good example. Product as a service, sharing product as a service, bicycle in Budapest, and also car, when you can share them. Sharing platforms, I'm sorry, I have to hurry up. The one is the Mi utcánk, our street, where you can share your home items, drilling tools, and so on. And also when you travel, you can share your car. It's called Oscar. Circular bioeconomy. It's producing substrate for oysters, mushrooms, growing oyster mushrooms, distributing fresh oyster from straw, and they also producing biogas, which means power and heat energy. And I don't know if I have, how much time I have, 2 minutes. I don't want to, because it's interesting, but 2 minutes is just not enough, and I don't want to fill you more. So someone who is interested about cradle-to-cradle design, I'm very happy to send you information on that, but I don't want to rush on this. So I will skip this, but it's interesting to know about cradle-to-cradle design. So basically, I want to finish with a quote from Jacqueline Kramer, who is politician and a circular economy expert, who said that circular economy is not something we invented in developed countries, it is something we forgot. Sometimes we don't have to reinvent the wheel. That's what and I totally agree with her. And teşekkür.
Çok teşekkür ederiz. Zaman kısıtlamasından dolayı özür dileriz. Thank you for rushing you about time. Macaristan'daki örnekleri çok güzel bir şekilde ifade ettiniz. Gerek şimdiye kadar yapılanlar, gerekse bundan sonra planlananlarla ilgili. Ayrıca eğer iş modelleriyle ilgili firmalar hevesli olursa nasıl katkı yapabilirler ve sonuçlarını nasıl etkili görebiliriz? Onu da güzel ifade ettiğiniz için çok teşekkür ederiz. Salonda sorusu olanlar varsa buyurun. Eş zamanlıydı ama Onur Bey buyurun.
Çalışıyor. Geçiş mi geliyor mu? Tamam. Teşekkür ederim. Matiye sunumu için çok teşekkür ediyorum. İsmim Onur Akbulat. Proje kapsamında Bileşen Bir'in liderliği görevini yapıyorum ben de. Sorum aslında ekonomik enstrümanlarla ilgili. Türkiye'de hali hazırda genişletilmiş üretici sorumluluğu kapsamında kullanmakta olduğumuz hatırladığım kadarıyla 2020'nin başlarından itibaren geri kazanım katılım payı isminde, kısa ismiyle GECAP isminde bir uygulamamız var. Daha çok üreticilerin yetkilendirilmiş kuruluşlardan bu genişletilmiş üretici sorumluluğu prensibini yetkilendirilmiş kuruluşlardan ya da Avrupa'da kullanıldığı ismiyle compliance scheme'lerden alınıp daha merkezileşme, devlet kontrolüyle uygulandığı bir sistem. Bir benzerinin Macaristan'da olduğunu biliyorum. Hani yaptığımız literatür araştırmaları kapsamında Avrupa Birliği ülkelerinden de yegane uygulamanın Macaristan'da olduğunu biliyorum. Eğer bilgisi dahilindeyse hani Macar hükümetinin bu konudaki tecrübesini bizimle paylaşabilirse Mate gerçekten faydalı olur diye düşünüyorum ve sonuçlarına ilişkin de hani kazanımlarına ilişkin de ne zamandan beri uyguladığınızı hatırlayamıyorum ama sonuçlarını da bizimle hani paylaşabilirse çok teşekkür ederim.
I don't have concrete figures with me, but obviously it's an agenda since the Hungarian government is following the EU rules, and it's you have to understand that basically Hungary and the Hungarian government is a follower. It's unlike the Netherlands or the Italy. As I see, the Hungarian government is not a pioneer in promoting circular economy. It's a complier, so complying with the EU rules. So this applies for the extended producer responsibility. So it has been adopted, but still the companies are still reluctant on implementing it. So Hungary is lagging behind on this, I think. But if you want to know more concrete information on that, I'm very happy to provide you with, because I'm not up to date on the EPR system. But if you want to know more about it, I will give you my email address and I will send you my information on that. Okay? Okay.
Merhabalar. Öncelikle sunum için çok teşekkür ederiz tekrar. Ben bir şey sorayım. Bir de Onur Bey'in söylediği şeyi yanılmıyorsam Macaristan'da uygulanan ürün vergisi adı altında geçen bir uygulamaydı bildiğim kadarıyla. Benim sorum şu. Dün Piotr Bey de benzer bir şeye değindi. Aslında döngüsel ekonomi önemli unsurlarından birisi ürünün ömrünü uzatabilmek. Yani bu materyal bir ürün olur. Uzun ömürlü kullanma ve atık olmasını olabildiğince geciktirmek üzerine. Veya işte bir yazılım olabilir. Günümüzde en çok kullanılan ürünlerden birisi. Buna teknik desteğin sürekli devamlı ve uzun yıllar yapılmasına ilişkin. Fakat hani şöyle bir şey biliyoruz. En büyük yazılım firmaları da teknik desteğe belli bir süre veriyor. Misal yenisini almaya hani resmen bir yerde zorluyor. Veya bilinçli eskitme diye bir teknoloji var. Hani siz de biliyorsunuz az çok ürünler üretilirken bilerek ömrü uzun olmasın diye eskitilerek piyasaya sürülmesi olayı. Buna ilişkin olarak hani Avrupa Birliği'nde yapılan bunu önlemeye ilişkin yapılan bir çalışma var mı? Nihayetinde bu şirketlerin yaptığı bir uygulama. Hani bir reaksiyonla karşılaşılıyor mu? Buna ilişkin bilgi alabilir miyiz?
What I think, yeah, I'm on. Am I? Because I can't hear. Okay. I think this is the obsolescence you're talking about when companies are making like a printing machine becomes obsolete or cannot be prepared after 3 or 4 years. At the EU level, it's already addressed this issue, so that the companies cannot bring to the EU market such equipment which have this planned obsolescence. Yeah, now I was looking for the word. It's called planned obsolescence, and Hungary, as an EU member, is in line with this. I can't tell you exactly which directive has addressed this, but I'm pretty recently, last year, I read about it that this was the EU is dealing with this planned obsolescence, which is a problem for many items, electronic items. I'm talking about. But I have to check which is this directive, and Hungary is in line with this, so there is no big difference in that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mate. I can complete. We did a report about plant obsolescence and the potentials, and it's called Eco Design Directive. I can give it to you, and I will have one more example.
Dziękuję.
Okay.
And dziękuję.
I have to, thank you. Yeah. You're welcome. And 2 more comments, not to take your time from food. Okay. One is about wasted oils. You mentioned wasted oils cooking oils or
yeah.
or mineral oils, if they are converted to fuel, that's not really circular economy. Yeah, I know you didn't mention that, but that's very often a confusion, common misunderstanding. Cooking oils and mineral oils will have to be separately collected by law and then can be reused, recycled into materials, for example soap, or refined into a new mineral oils. And that's really the aim we should, objective we should aim for. And the third comment is, thank you very much, Mate, for talking about reuse. This is first time today I think we spoke more in detail about reuse.
About what, sorry?
Reuse. Reusing of products rather than just recycling them.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to say that at the EU level, this is a new objective to really reinforce legally much more reuse through eco-design, extending lifetime of products, but also obliging countries to set up a separate target for reuse. Not only like is today in the Waste Framework Directive, recycling and reuse is together. So we have to achieve 65% recycling and reuse together. And of course, this dilutes the objective of reuse. But some countries go beyond that. For example, Flanders have an objective of 6 kilograms of reuse per person per year. Spain has 2% of reuse as opposed, distinguished from recycling only. So maybe, I don't want to take too much time, but if you know more examples from Hungary, how legally we can incentivize reuse. Not only through shops, because that's really putting responsibility on consumers, but how legally we can really reinforce from producers and from retail how to have more reuse on the market.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a complicated issue, the reuse issue, because it's not only incentivize the people, but also change the mindset, because people like to buy new things. And also you have to bear in mind that there is no strong focus in Hungary on recycling, on increasing recycling infrastructure, which I think could have a similar effect with the incineration system in Western Europe. So we are now very much focused on making a lot of trash and recycle them instead of reducing the trash which we should recycle. So, and I think it applies to many other countries in Eastern Europe. So now recycling is in the forefront of circular economy, and I think it's a danger. Instead of forcing reuse and also other remanufacture, repurposing and so on. And this is lacking, at least in Hungary as I see. I don't know what's the situation in other countries. So that's a real danger that recycling will be the forefront of, because it's a big business. I mean, let's face it. Yeah. And that's why more the Hungarian big oil company will deal with waste management probably from next year. So yeah, absolutely, you're right. Yeah.